There is a fear that most men carry about aging, not the obvious one, not the fear of illness or death, though those are real too. Something quieter than that, something that lives closer to the surface of daily life. Something most men never say out loud, because naming it feels like admitting something they'd rather not admit. I want to try to name it, because I think it deserves to be named. The fear, in its most honest form, is not really about getting older. It's about becoming less visible, less relevant, less the person other people orient toward. The fear that the version of you that mattered, the one who was useful and needed and present in the world in the particular way that felt like yourself, that version, the fear is that it will gradually diminish. Not in a dramatic moment, just quietly, over years. The way a fire that isn't fed doesn't go out suddenly, right? It just produces less light, and then less than that. And then, one day, you realize you've been sitting in the dark for a long time. I think this fear lives in most men after 40 and after 50. Even the ones who would never describe it this way. You can hear it in certain conversations, in the way men of a certain age speak about younger colleagues who are moving faster, and in the way they talk about the bodies changing, with humor that has also something else underneath it, in the way they go quiet when the topic turns to what they're still capable of, what they're still becoming, whether that word becoming still applies to them. And underneath all of it is a very specific anxiety that doesn't get named directly. Am I past the point where I matter? Not the people close to them. Most men don't fear that kind of mattering. The deeper fear is different. It's the fear of no longer mattering to themselves, of becoming a smaller version of who they were, of reaching the far side of their own significance without quite seeing it happen. But here is the strange part. The fear of becoming less, which feels like a fear of the future, is actually for most men a fear about the present. It's not really about what aging will take. It's about what they've already not doing, already not becoming, already not being fully present enough in their own life. And most men misunderstand this completely, because they experience the fear as forward-facing, as anxiety about what's coming, when actually it's pointing backward at choices that are being made right now, at the version of themselves they are constructing today, and at the slow daily decisions about what gets attention and what gets deferred indefinitely. The fear is not a prediction about the future. It's a message about the present. And the message is this: the life that would make this fear unnecessary. The one where you are genuinely, fully yourself, doing things that matter to you, present in your own story. That life requires something from you, now, not later, now. Here is something I thought about a lot. The fear of becoming less is actually rooted in a very specific misunderstanding about where significance comes from. Most men, in the first half of life, locate their significance externally. In the role, the title, the function, the way they are needed by and useful to the world around them. And that external significance is real. It produces a genuine sense of mattering. But it is also, by its nature, contingent. It depends on the role continuing, on the function remaining relevant, and on the world continuing to need the particular version of you that you've been provided. And as a man ages, and so as the role shifts, a younger version arrives who can do what he does. The external source of significance starts to feel less reliable. And this is where things become interesting, because the fear that results in this case isn't really about losing the role. It's about discovering that without the role there wasn't as much else as he thought. That the internal sense of significance, the one that doesn't depend on being needed, was never fully developed as the external one. And now, with the external one under pressure, he's being asked to build the internal one for the first time. For the first time, and seriously, without the scaffolding. And so, something changes after 40 and after 50 in what the fear is actually protecting. Because when you're younger, fear of this kind is almost about the future self, the man I might become, the life I might not have. But after 40 and after 50, the fear becomes more specific. It attaches to things already present. The relationship that has drifted without enough attention to pull it back. The version of yourself, curious, creative, alive in specific ways, that has been getting less room every year. And the dreams. And I use that word carefully. Let's say the private visions of what the life could still be, that get a little smaller. Yes, smaller every time they're deferred. And so the fear of aging at its most honest is the fear of watching those things disappear without ever having given them the serious attention they deserved. Not the fear of dying, but the fear of not having fully lived. Most men never notice this distinction. They feel the fear and they feel it. But they feel the fear and assume it's about time running out, when really it's about attention running elsewhere. Here is the psychological truth I keep arriving at. The quiet fear many men have about aging is not irrational. It's pointing at something real, something that deserves more than to be managed or suppressed. It's pointing at the gap between the man they are and the man they still have the potential to become, between the life they've been living and the life they will be living if they were making choices more aligned with what they actually value, and between the relationships they have and the relationships they would have if they were more fully, honestly present in them. And that gap, felt as fear, is information, not a verdict, not a prediction, an invitation. And the man who responds to that invitation, who take the fear seriously enough to ask what it's pointing at, they tend to do something quiet and significant. They stop waiting for the life to become more meaningful and start making choices that bring more meaning into the life they have. Not by abandoning what they've built, but by bringing more of themselves into it. More presence, more honesty, more willingness to pursue the things that are genuinely theirs, rather than just maintaining what was inherited or expected. And so the fear listened to becomes the most useful thing, a compass pointing at what the next years most need. So let me ask you something. What specifically do you fear about getting older? Not the general version, the specific one. Let me know. Tell me in the comments. I'm not talking about the abstract answer about health or time. I'm asking you the private one, the one that surfaces at 3 a.m. or in the quiet of a long drive. The version that you probably never said out loud because it sounds too vulnerable, or too small, or too honest about something you'd rather not be honest about. Because I think that that specific fear, whatever it is for you, is worth sitting with. Not to amplify it, not to let it run, just to listen to it long enough to understand what it's actually pointing at, what it's trying to protect also, and what it's asking you to take more seriously. Because the quiet fears are almost never just fears. They are usually the most honest signal a man gets about where his life most needs his attention. And most men spend enormous energy keeping those signals at a manageable distance. When actually the most useful thing, also the harder thing, but the more useful one, is to let them speak. The quiet fear many men have about aging deserves to be treated with more seriousness than it usually gets. Not as a symptom, not as a phase, as information. Because the most honest feedback a man receives about whether the life he's living is actually the life he wants to have lived, is in that information. And the answer to that fear, is not to reassure us. It's not being told that aging isn't as bad as he thinks, or that he still has plenty of time, or that things will work out. No, the answer is action. Quiet, daily, unglamorous action in the direction of the things the fear is pointing at. More presence in the relationships, those that matter. More time for the things that make the man feel most himself. And more honesty about what he wants from the years he has left. Not as a project, not as just a transformation, but just as a daily practice of taking his own life seriously. That's what the fear is asking for. and meeting it there with honesty and intention rather than suppression is one of the most genuinely courageous things a man can do. I've made a kind of peace with my fear, not by resolving it, not by deciding it isn't real, but by understanding that its presence means I still care, that the part of me that wants the life to matter, that wants to be genuinely present in it, genuinely myself inside it. That part is still awake, is still paying attention, and as long as that part is awake, the fear is not an enemy. It's just a reminder that the life is still happening, that there are still choices to make, that the version of yourself you most want is not behind you. It's available right now, in the next choice, in the next conversation, in the next moment you decide to actually be there, instead of managing from a safe distance. This is what I wanted to share with you today. Let me know in the comments if this is you, or if not, let me know. And let me know if you want me to continue creating these videos by hitting the like button. And if you want to subscribe, we can meet together in the next video. You will find the next video here, and let's meet there.